Hello and welcome. This is the Netherlands. This is Erik Boekesteijn calling from the National Library of the Netherlands. And I'm very honored to be here with you today to talk about libraries, innovative and creative future libraries, to be exact. And I must say I have very good memories of Estonia and of Tallinn. I was there some time ago. In the library and with one of your reading dogs, which is to us Dutch people more like a wolf, but some great memories talking to your MEP in Brussels, Marju Larastin. I have to look at her name. Like I said, I was very impressed with the work of the library in Estonia and with the library work overall. And I know that you are setting the boundaries on digital citizenship and all that sort of thing. So very, very honored to be asked to do a presentation. I will go through it and tell you a little about myself. My name is, like I said, Erik Boekesteijn, being awarded Best Librarian of the Netherlands. When you're Best Librarian of the Netherlands, you get to have dinner with the King and Queen, which is quite special. I had half an hour talking to the Queen about libraries. Originally, I'm a musician. This was when I was young. I write children's books, and at the National Library of the Netherlands, my job is to help libraries innovate. This is very broad, so the name of the project that I'm doing over the years is From Idea to Initiative. Libraries can call me, public libraries, both academic libraries can call me and say, Erik, we have an idea. We want some extra help to set it up. Can you come and help us? I'm not a project manager, so I do this only, like I said, as a help. So usually it's 1 or 2 or 3 meetings that I attend, and then I connect the libraries to the right people and have them on their way. I do this also internationally. So last week I had a call with Ramallah, which is not a good place to be at the moment, unfortunately, where they're building a new library. So this is what comes on the radar from all over the planet. Is something that usually lands on my desk and I help. I worked all my life in libraries. One of the libraries that I worked the longest is in Delft, the city of Delft, famous painter Vermeer, Delft Blue Pottery. The Library Concept Center. I helped design that, and when I was working there, there was a sort of an issue: will there still be libraries around in like now, 2020, 21? And in order to find out why libraries are relevant, I started a tour around the world. Literally, I've been everywhere in 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 months of traveling every year. Wrote a book about all that sort of thing, made lots of videos, and build up an international network that's quite large, and that also brought in a lot of extra work and meeting a lot of great people. Libraries, as you know, have changed so much, and the role of the librarian and the library manager, director has also changed. Pet Lesinski, famous library director, said this like we used to be responsible for the library only, but today it seems like we are responsible for almost whole urban development, what's happening in the city, what's happening in society. There's a bigger role for us as libraries. Also as National Library, I think, although there is, of course, I come from personally I come from a public library background, but I see blending of the task definitely there. Spaces have changed, as I said, the elements of what the library is and what it looks like, what people demand from our spaces has changed a lot over the years. Don't have time to go deeply into this, but at a later stage or at another occasion, I would love to tell you more about this. User experience, user interfaces, something that have definitely changed in the mindset of libraries and librarians. We used the old, not so older days, used to come up with services and ideas without really testing them out very much with our audiences. And here you can see in sort of a funny slide that that what we may think is beautiful can, from a different perspective, look like something completely different. My good friend David Lankes, and I'm working with David on a number of European projects at the moment, has this as a sort of a core message. The mission of librarians is to improve society through facilitating knowledge creation in their communities. I think this is something that's always in the back of my head when I think of innovation and services, because I really believe this is true. I've been involved in building quite a few libraries with some amazing architects. This is in the desert. We had a Kapsak project with Zadi, who unfortunately is no longer with us. Small part of this is the library. The Library of Birmingham, Francine Huber Meccano Architects, is a very good friend, and I work with her on a regular basis. A great example of a beautiful beacon in the city of Birmingham, but also with its difficulties. This place was designed in such a way that it demanded quite a few staff to run it, and looking over the years, there may not always be money to employ so many people. So these are all things that we have to consider. I was involved also in the famous Dock 1 library in building, and thinking of the concept of the famous Dock library in Aarhus, Dock 1. Still one of the examples that I look at and that I work with, because it's so successful. This library can run with only like 6 people minimum. You can see here like the way the space is used. It's the living room of the city. It thinks of the city. This work of art is a gong that sounds when a new citizen is born in the city of Aarhus. Like curation of space, of services, and of the people's need. Here you see Children's Reading Week. The place fills up with children and provides services. This also has an effect on of course, the library. When you go from to this, from a space for media to a space as a media, from online to on-site, from facts to credibility, go through the list, everything becomes more in the now and in the presence, and using the senses and uses everything to develop, and libraries are facilitating that. In the Netherlands, at the National Library of the Netherlands, we always say like the National Library of the Netherlands has the mission to make people smarter, more creative, and to make them better skilled and prepared for the work that they are facing in the future. We have a special relationship with public libraries in the Netherlands from the National Library. Together with our partners, the Dutch Library Association, the Netherlands Library Association, other partners, we work on reading promotion, but also on digital citizenship, as you are in Estonia, digital inclusion, and lifelong learning, development, and make people a better version of themselves. Another library that I wanted to show you is this one in Sydney, the heart of Sydney, Green Square Plaza. I think during the last elections at IFLA's Best Library of the World, it was in the last 4. Not a big, very big library, 3,000 square meters, 700 meters of shelving, which means 30,000 paper books. So it's largely digital, largely information, largely a living room to a newly developed part of the city. As you can see, I'll have to show these photographs. The city is usually underground, it's underground mostly. There is a sort of a Louvre museum-like cafe, restaurant that can open up different hours than the library. The tower is filled with flexible spaces, rooms. The whole square is part of the library and shows heritage, public discussion, debate. It says free library shelves outside, as it doesn't rain that often as it does in the Netherlands. Here you can see the cafe, restaurant, and the entrance. The youth department within the library. There's a beautiful garden. As I said, the plaza itself plays a huge part in the whole library experience. And outside theater, where you can have your performances out in the open. Another library that I was involved in over the years, I'm still a board member of, is Story House in Chester. I think, but I'm not objective, it's the most beautiful library in the world, but it's so much more than only a library. It's a combination, and you see that more and more often, of a library, a theater, a cinema, a cafe, a restaurant, and the programming is in overall the whole building and the whole organization. So I'll go through it because we don't want too much time on it, but such beautiful photographs. Here you can see where the old cinema screen used to be. This was like in the 50s, 1950s, the place where all the older people in the area have their memories of having their first dates and everything else. What you can see through now is a new part of the building, which is the theater. There's a little see-through. Professional theater. There's a little cinema, 100 seats, mostly art house movies. The restaurant is open. Like the whole building is open the same hours, different from the Sydney one. And every inch of the building, once again, is curated. I'm going to skip the video because it's going to take too long, I think. Definitely recommend to check it out. Story House, Chester. Look at the video. Look at the way they market, especially they market out their services and their events. It's really well done. There's a group called Young Story House, 8-year-olds up to 25-year-olds. They're really a board of 25 young people thinking of what Story House should be like. When I was called in, the librarians were a bit scared of being managed by theater producers because the CEO was a theater producer, and my role was to make them see the possibilities that it offered. And what worked, what triggered them to be enthusiastic and to get on board with this whole project was the idea that librarians are there to curate curiosity, to send people away possibly with more questions than they come in with, to make them want to learn, to be the best facilitator and storyteller ever. So the motto of keep, share, and make stories comes back also in Story House. It was a big help in getting the librarians on board. But also, of course, the beautiful architecture and the fact that letting go, you let go and be more open for other people and partners to come in and help you run the building and the services. That is a great help, and it makes you a better library and a better librarian. So how do you library? That's something that's a question. How do you become a librarian? What is a librarian? It's quite something. Once again, facilitation is key. And one stage I was really thinking that libraries need to innovate, or perhaps they might die. I don't think that anymore. I think libraries will be around. But like I said, maybe this little video is fun. We have to be like better at facilitating than we ever were before. I mean, this is a little funny video showing how we may outrun a cheetah, but we really have to be exceptionally good to bring the people in our building and provide them with the service that they deserve. Connecting people with collections and stories is very important, and the best way to do this, from the National Library on, we organized a boot camp with Nina Simon, famous in the museum world, but also more and more in libraries. She came up with this concept of by for all. How do you involve your users? How do you involve your partners? I think we had, when I planned the boot camp, we had, within a week it sold out to 7 countries. We had 2 boot camps of 100 people for 2 days. So there obviously is a great demand for new ways of running the building and running the services. Design thinking, there's of course the famous toolkit made in Aarhus with Chicago Public Library together. I think this is very handy, and I use this a lot in my own session when it comes to artificial intelligence in libraries, in thinking of spaces, what they should look like. It's a great help in working together with people. Bringing in people, professional people, ZZP, as we call them in the Netherlands, people running their own offices in the library is something that's in the UK very well done by David Fletcher and his workeries, combination of libraries and workspaces. I think he has more than 10 of these spaces all around the UK, and there's really a tight community of people who are helping out each other and using the library and paying money for the spaces. We see libraries in saunas, spas, in different places come up. We see different forms of libraries in railway stations, libraries where they lend out tools, repair shops. More and more, we see libraries thinking of what can we do for society? How can we help people, facilitate people once again to make society better placed to be? So the Sustainable Development Goals are something. This is from Jane Cowell, good friend in Australia, really interesting. Check her out. What can we do to facilitate people in creating better societies? I was talking to Jean Tan for the FLA meeting not so long ago. Jean works in Singapore. He came up with the Singapore Memories Project quite a while ago, but still very interesting. And he said, why can't the library be a theater of issues where we can display all the things that matter in society that are important now and will be important in the future? And how can we showcase that and give people an idea? I have to run through this. I see time is running out. When we do this and we are better in this job providing these services, then we need to brand it. So here you see a few examples. Check out the Idea stores in London. They do an amazing job in providing all sort of things around lifelong learning and inclusion. If we take it out in the subways, as you can see in the slide in the middle, they build up the New York Public Library reading room in a subway. There are so many options of being better libraries and mixing the online skills together with the skills in the virtual places. What I see more and more often is always and a different task for librarians is to help finding cures through gamification, maybe artificial intelligence. How can we help doctors to, in a game, detect real different sort of cells and make it a sort of a playful thing at the same time while we're helping doctors? Of course, then the library also comes about what is acceptable and what not. What are the ethics? When we talk about artificial intelligence, the Library of the Netherlands, National Library of the Netherlands, did a few workshops and a seminar, and we involved quite a lot of people in thinking what is important if we want to use artificial intelligence in our libraries, and we came up with these 7 themes. Once again, we can do a whole event around this. The librarian, and I believe in modular education. In the Netherlands, we no longer have a library school as such, but we do have a website. We have a library campus online where you can find educational tools and toolkits that help you doing your services. So these slides I made together with Rolf Happel from Doc Aarhus for a library conference in the US. Possible future scenarios. Libraries as an innovation hub, what will happen in the future and what will be the role of the librarian. A library scenario in which the library is more focused on the meaning of life, more different role, where we see the librarian more as a storyteller, a play coach, a designer, trader, but also around meditation and different forms of well-being. I could go on for hours, but there's just no time for it. So I will be available now for questions and I'd love to hear your thoughts. As I said, I think it's the most exciting time to be a librarian ever. And there's so many opportunities and there's so much to learn together with our users, our patrons. We are there and we are open to learning. And thank you so much for your time. And I'm here.